welcome to Record Wrap, the Adventist Record News podcast. It's Thursday, April 10. I'm Juliana Muniz.
And I'm Jankiewicz.
In this week's episode, Adventist leaders challenge the Australian government to be more generous with international aid. And did you know that eating healthy could actually save you money? We take a look at a new health initiative aimed at cutting grocery costs by 20%. But first, Ashley, what's making headlines this week?
For the second year in a row, Advent Health partnered with the United States non-profit organization Shoes That Fit. Together, they gave more than 1,500 new pairs of shoes and over 3,000 pairs of socks to primary school students across 7 schools in the state of Kansas. 1 in 3 children in the United States lives in low-income households, and worn-out shoes are a visible sign of poverty. This can result in bullying or teasing, absences from school, and reduced participation in sports. In addition to supporting students in these areas, this initiative boosts self-esteem and allows for a more inclusive school experience. In other news, an Australian man is the first in the world to be discharged from hospital with an artificial heart. Doctors did not expect him to survive long enough to receive a transplant, and so he received a titanium blood pump powered by a magnetic motor and external batteries. The man lived with the device for 100 days until returning in March for a donor heart, undergoing a successful transplant.
Now back to the South Pacific. Adventist leaders in Australia have added their voice to a call for increased government aid ahead of the upcoming federal election. Australian Union Conference President Pastor Terry Johnson and ADRA Australia CEO Denison Grellman are among the signatories of an open letter coordinated by Micah Australia, a coalition of Christian development and justice agencies. The letter urges political leaders to protect and expand Australia's international aid program, calling for it to rise to 1% of the national budget, up from its current historically low level of 0.68%. That figure places Australia among the least generous developed nations in the world. Here's what Pastor Johnson said about that statistic.
Yes, we are one of the least because we're only at 0.6 when we're supposed to be closer to 2%. And that is a concern to us because we believe that God is generous and that he has blessed us as a nation with a huge amount of GDP, and that needs to be something that is passed on to others, particularly when we think of how we have actually achieved our financial strength. For a country of only 26.5 million people, to be in the G8 and the G20 is a shocking statistic in a positive way, because we should be nowhere near that. And we have to reflect on that and say thank you to the Lord, and then also say, right, what does that mean to us? It means from a scriptural point of view that we need to be far more generous as well.
Mr. Grellman agrees and explains why the church needs to support this initiative.
Our church has been extremely blessed in Australia with so many resources, and it is important that we share our voice in support of keeping and increasing Australian aid. Because we are a generous church, we also need to be supportive of that, regardless of our political beliefs. And this is not a political move. It's an important move to actually help many communities out there. So that's why our church needs to be involved and needs to put its name and needs to be a voice for the betterment of the people.
He also explained that maintaining and growing aid is essential for ADRA's work.
With the financial support that we get from the Australian government, with the Australian aid, we are able to reach about 22 countries in the Pacific, in Southeast Asia and in Africa as well, helping with community development initiatives and emergency response. So that's why it is crucial for us to be able to have that support, which then we add the support from our private donors and the church at large, and are able to then make a significant contribution to the communities.
The latter is part of Micah Australia's Safer World for All campaign, which was launched with a video presented by Micah Australia's National Director Matt Darvas and Adventist pastor Mo Stiles, who serves as a chaplain for university students in Melbourne. Let's listen to a snippet from that video.
As Christians, we shouldn't be surprised that loving our neighbor is not just a nice idea, but a God-given strategy that truly works, bringing greater connection, peace, and shared prosperity. So if it falls to us to remind our communities and leaders of this, then we must be ready and willing to do so.
Which brings us to Australia's aid contribution. So how much do you think we really spend on aid? You might be surprised. It's just 0.68% of our federal budget. Aid isn't coming at the cost of Australians, especially those doing it tough, because more than 99% of our budget is still spent on ourselves. That's why we still believe in an aid program that brings us back to 1% of the federal budget. Not an impossible goal, just what we believe is right and smart.
To read the open letter, watch the video, or add your name to the campaign, visit the link in the description of this episode. A new health initiative is challenging the perception that eating healthy is expensive. According to FoodSAVE, a healthy diet could actually cut grocery costs by up to 20%. Developed by a team of Adventist health professionals, the FoodSAVE program was recently brought to the North New South Wales Conference, which is supporting the initiative by training local health ministries leaders to bring it into their communities. The first facilitator training hosted by North New South Wales took place at Gosford Seventh-day Adventist Church on March 16. North New South Wales Health Director Erin Keegan explains the initiative equips local churches to further support their communities.
Running FoodSAVE across North New South Wales will really benefit our churches that are reaching out to low socioeconomic communities. So maybe they're full of students or families or even retirees. But a lot of churches already service the community with food pantries. And so this enables the church to continue connecting with the community, particularly those coming to the food pantries, to be able to offer further advice and help in how to eat healthily and do it really affordably too.
Created by lifestyle educator Margot Marshall, FoodSAVE is built around 3 interactive workshops: shopping, cooking, and budgeting, designed to show how eating well can cost less.
FoodSAVE takes a unique approach and it sets itself apart from other forms of health promotion because it focuses on the savings that have to be made by healthy choices, savings of up to 20%. Now, there's a myth out there that healthy food's expensive, but FoodSAVE explodes that myth, I kid you not. And it's very simple. It cuts right through the complexities of nutrition by using a simple spending formula that balances the diet by balancing the food budget.
A key component of the training is a supermarket tour comparing everyday grocery items by cost per kilo. According to Ms. Marshall, the difference between whole and processed foods surprised participants.
For example, they discovered chocolates that are priced $40, $60, $100 a kilo. Some baby foods are over $200 a kilo. And different packaging can cause a product to multiply by up to 3 times, 6 times, even 30 times. It's a jaw dropper.
Okay, Ashley, now I want your opinion. When I was talking to Margot and Erin earlier today, they told me that Australians spend 60% of their food budget on unhealthy foods. Why do you think that so many people believe eating healthy is more expensive?
I think maybe people are unaware of how to shop healthily.
I agree.
And if they were actually to compare prices like they do in this FoodSAVE training, then maybe they would actually see that it's not so expensive after all.
Yeah, I think maybe people have the wrong idea of what healthy eating is. For example, let's say if someone wants to go vegan, there are a lot of products in the supermarket that are branded vegan and plant-based, good for the planet, but when you actually look into most of those products, they can be highly processed. And so if you think, oh, for me to be healthy and I don't want to eat meat anymore, what am I going to put in my burger? Oh, I'm going to buy those fake meat patties. A tray of 2 patties costs about $11. So it is going to be a lot more expensive if you're eating processed foods. But that's not eating healthy in reality because they are processed foods. If you're eating beans, if you're eating fresh produce that's in season, then it can be a lot cheaper. But maybe we should take that training to learn.
Yeah, maybe we should. I reckon I would learn a lot.
Yeah. So I asked that question to Erin on the phone, and she had some good insights on that topic. Let's listen to what she said.
When I used to lecture at Avondale, the nursing students would say, like, Miss, I can only afford to get Macca's or KFC. But really what they were saying is that they didn't know how you could eat, plant-based, good quality meals for affordable prices. And so I think that there's a huge misconception. Sometimes we look at fruits and vegetables that aren't in season or that are imported from overseas, and of course they're going to be more expensive. So it's this massive misconception that you've got to buy organic and expensive healthy foods, but you really don't. If you just go back to the basics, the whole grains, the legumes, the fruits and vegetables, that's where you can really save so much money. And, even in smoothies, you can buy frozen berries instead of fresh berries. Just buying smart.
The North and South Wales Conference has 2 more facilitator trainings planned for this year, in Mullumbimby on July 20 and in Kempsey on September 28. If you want to learn more or get involved, you can also visit foodsave.org.au. And that wraps up this week's episode of Record Rep. Thank you for tuning in.
Don't forget to visit our website at record.adventistchurch.com and follow us on social media for more updates and stories. You can also receive news straight to your inbox by subscribing to our weekly e-newsletter.
We'll be back next week with more news from around the South Pacific Division. See you then.
This is an Adventist Media podcast.